Colombia.
and it's been 22 years that I left my country.
Okay.
I've been living in France, but it's been now 2 months that I'm in Spain. It
Oh yeah.
happens that I'm living 15 minutes away from Vera and Agusti
Really?
that send
And
you kisses.
tell them I send them kisses. God.
Okay, I will.
So have you met him in person?
Yes,
Oh wow.
after 6 years. And I don't know how they came to Spain. They were meant to be in another part of Spain. I was meant to be in another part of Spain. And it happens we are 15 minutes away.
Isn't that amazing how this stuff works? I
Yes.
pushed live. We are live, but we need about another 45 seconds before everybody gets in here.
Great.
I I think I've seen your name out there, uh, over the years. Uh, I recognize the name, but yes, Catalina Osorio Galvis. Is that how you say
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Thank,
It's me.
thank the goddess I didn't butcher that name. I should be able to speak it. I am Hispanic. So it's a pleasure to meet you. I love doing these shows when I don't know the person, and then just spontaneously we just get to know each other in front of all of our brothers and sisters, especially right now because Morgan had this incredible idea of, um, you know, focusing on the hero's journey, particularly the feminine. Yeah. And I
and
guess, yeah. Did you see her
and
post? Is that what happened?
is that what happened? But what happened before that is that I was feeling that it was time for all my stories just to be recognized not only by me, right? Because I've been doing that. It's work to recognize everything that happened and to evolve through it. But it was time for me to put it out, right? And I just said, okay, give me an opportunity. And 2 days after that, and I'm not all the time on Facebook, I'm less and less spending time on Facebook. But it happens that the first thing I saw was Morgan's post. And I say, okay, if this is not the opportunity that I asked for, then I don't know what it's going to be.
Wow. Yeah. Well, these stories have been amazing this month. The one we just had was amazing. I mean, it's just amazing hearing what people went through. Although people have talked about it, but I think it's more than what they went through. It's how they overcame it, right? How they how they transformed. Can you relate to that?
Well, for me, it's been 6 years now that I'm overcoming or more welcoming
Mm,
what happened and then transmuting, transforming it so something new can come.
mm.
And I see the difference. And well, it's amazing. It's amazing, truly.
I can see it in your continents, in your aura. It's like it's amazing talking to these women because, and even the men that have come on. There's not been too many, but uh, it's just amazing because you can see. Well, and several of them have said what you said, that they knew it was time to come out, and that must mean
Yes,
something for this world.
yes. First of all, because in my story, you will see. I know there are things that people are thinking are normal, and they are not normal. And their habits, we're so used to it. And it's okay. And we keep hurting ourselves and hurting others again and again and again. And when I say it's not normal, it's not about a judgment. It's about acknowledging what happens, right?
Yes.
Is that all? And I hope, because many people here and even here that are looking the live and that talk to you, that talk with you and your wife, what you have to say, sometimes it was just like a, oh my God, this is exactly what happened to me, and now I can see another way of seeing it. And that is wonderful, because sometimes we don't know better, right? We're just used to pain, used to suffering, and so to engage, because we become, in our bodies, in our minds, we become just addicted to that, and things becomes normal. But it's
Yes.
time to a new normal, or just a new, no?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say the old normal, but it's actually not even the old normal. It's the old normal plus what we've learned, isn't it? The new normal is the like the old normal plus our experience post the transformation, or as we're
Yes,
transforming. Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Where do you want to start?
Right now, well, how to start? Uh, let's start how it starts for me, because in 2016, um, I was suicidal. Really, most of the day, I spent my day, even when I was working, and I was working in something that I always wanted to do. I was international business seller, and so I get to travel. I had money, or, well, good money and bonuses, and I was good at convincing people to buy things. So it was good.
Hmm.
uh, from what I always thought, that's what I need to do, that's what I need to reach, right? So I was there, and I was suicidal. My whole day I spent time thinking, oh my God, this is awful. Everything was awful. And being so ashamed for thinking that, because my whole life I was taught that if you have to eat, that's already lots, right? I never had the opportunity to think that, yeah, I can reach for better, and that it's not that I'm not thankful for what I have, but I can reach for better, and I can feel whole, right? So I was feeling ashamed, and I was feeling suicidal, and I was alcoholic, and I drink too much coffee, then too much alcohol, to the point of blackout. because that was me, drinking to the point of forgetting. And that was meant what I meant to do by drinking. And at some point, it was like, oh my God, what happened? And out of nowhere, I went to the gynecologist, and he said to me, yeah, okay, you have 4 fibroids. But the thing is that one of them is 10 centimeters. But 6 months before, there were nothing there. So from 0 to 10. And he said to me, it looks mostly that we are need to going to take out the womb. And I heard or see or hear without the hearing, if you go in that path, it's over. And I say, oh no, you're not going to take my womb out. I can heal from that. And I quit my job and I start my discovery. And what happened wasn't that good every day, but I'm so grateful for it. And what happened is that, first of all, I start discovering what wasn't obvious for me is that I was forgetting, and my coping mechanism, my mind's coping mechanism was to forget. Point. So even if you, in 2016, even if you ask me for what happened 3 years ago, if I will say to you, I don't remember, I wasn't joking. It was real. But if you talk to me about my childhood, there was almost completely a blank, right? But so in 2016, I remember something that happened in 2012 in France. What happened is that after starting to drink in a bar at 6 o'clock, maybe, and stopping at 3 o'clock in the morning, completely drunk with my friends, I got a fight with my friend and I say, okay, I'm going alone home, right? And I start walking completely drunk. And somehow some guys just came to tease, right? And then put around me. And I black out. But when I came back to me, I was shaking and didn't know how much time passed, didn't anything. The thing is that I claimed that I was being raped, that I have been raped. But once in the police, what I came to talk, what I came to say wasn't aligned, that it is not possible. Only 20 minutes passed between the moment you left your friends and you were in the middle of the street. So I was a liar, right? And then you talk to many people in a night when you claim that you have been raped. You told to many people, and some of them just say to you, I think you're lying and you're drunk. And if you've been raped, don't you think that you just like put yourself to it? So shame, right? And what happened with my friends? Oh, she's inventing stories just to be seen, right? She needs so much to be seen that she's inventing that big story. And I was convinced that that was the case. And what I discovered after 2016 is that it happened. I have been sexually molested. I was a baby, and he was my uncle. But I couldn't remember. But this shit happens. And it's going to happen to people that something just in a moment, because it must happen, something, maybe it's even a sound, and you will feel what you felt without really remembering it. It will be like crazy. And I spent years feeling crazy, ashamed, of awful. So it happened not in 2012, but it happened. And I come from a family when I'm not the only one that it happened to. I come from a family where women were assaulted. My mother was, there was pedophilia, there was incest. When I was a kid, I lived with this uncle that terrified everyone, especially because when he was drunk, he just hit people, her girls, her boys, her wife, my mother, and all of that thought. I didn't remember all of that, right? It was like I made a blank, like none of this happened, right? The only thing that I remember that was my mother was very violent, and that at some point when we moved from Cali to Bogota, I was 11 and I decided that I was not going to be a victim anymore. And the only thing that I remember that she beat me really violently, and that it was repeatedly. And but all this work that I've been doing just allowed me to remember that my mother, for example, used to say, "She's mine, and if I want to kill her, I will, because she's mine." And believe me, you don't need to be a toddler to be terrified by that, right? So I was terrified. But I lived in the 80s in Colombia, in a poor neighbor. So violence was inside home, outside home, everywhere. That was you see the Narcos in Netflix? That was when I came on earth this time. So violence everywhere. But the violence that I witnessed was terrifying. So my coping mechanism was when we moved, because from my father's side, my father that I love, my mother too, don't get me wrong, I love and respect her for being here and doing that. But my father never there, right? He lived in Bogota and just came from times to times. And now after, right, 2-3 years ago, he said to me, "Oh yes, I remember that someday I came home, just pop like this, and I saw your mother with a blue eye, and she said to me that it was your uncle that did that." And I said, "And you just what? What you had in your mind? You never said my kid is in danger?" But I had a father that couldn't think about that at that moment. He was immature completely. He was having his own problems, being or trying to be loved by her mother. So he saw that and nothing happened, right? And at 11 years, when I went to Bogota, so this toddler, this kid, every time I saw my father, it was like a breathe, breathe, right? So my father was sort of my hero. And I said, okay, problem solved. I am going to live in Bogota. My father is going to be there. Especially, I wasn't going to be hit by my mother because when my father was there was no violence. But it didn't quite happen like that. I just find out my father that was cold and someone that no matter what I did, he was it was impossible for him to be there for me, no matter what anybody did. He was living his own pain, and I was confronted to be with my mother. She had from a previous marriage my brother and two sisters, but I was I wasn't from the clan. You see, they were three, and I was the person that remind, especially two of them, remind them their parents break up because my mother just went to left them, and they were kids, and went to Canada for 3 years, something like that. And when she came back, she started having an affair with my father, who was a neighbor. He lived in front of my brother and sisters. So the whole time she was pregnant, she was hiding that. So from before day one, I was being hidden, right? And so I and I've been reproducing that until I don't know 1 year, right? And those fibroids, I discovered so much thanks to those fibroids that I decided not to operate, and that I decided that they were going not going to take my womb out. And what I discovered is that all that I had to start asking questions. What happened? Because I didn't remember. And I start seeing how I was living, reproducing my mother, especially my mother, path, but like almost exactly, right? Like having a husband and cheating on the husband and having abortions because I at 15 years I was a teenager that um, that decided that I'm not going to be a victim. So I just became really, really fighting. And if you love me, I could have taken a bullet for you. But if you fight me, be careful, right?
Hmm.
So I became that. And on the other side, I was still looking for a mother. I was still looking for a father. So the mother, no chance, because all my friends' parents thought of me like I was the bad guy in the group because I was the only one talking and saying whatever. I was the rebel one. And with me they were someone, and in front of their parents they weren't. So I was the bad one. But for the father, I figured that I could take old guys, right? And so at 15 years or 16, I went in in a relationship with a married guy that was a drug dealer that kept guns, that was really violent, and that was like for me was like the tough guy. But sex with this tough guy wasn't great a lot at all. I was literally whatever he wanted to do, even if I say no, right? And what was that was the part that I was so like it was crazy in my mind because I said no, I didn't want to, but like at the same time I was excited about that, right? And I couldn't tell not even my best friends that I was feeling that because I was ashamed. And how Catalina, that had this position, like, oh my God, and I will eat the whole world, say that this guy is doing that. And I was pregnant, even using the pills. I just get pregnant. And for me was awful because I couldn't say to my family, obviously, but the first thing that I say is, I'm never going to have babies. One thing I knew is that I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be like my mother. And how I was sure of that? Because my sisters were exactly like that with my nephews. So I saw that at home, even when we left my violence in my body, I had to see my sisters doing that to my nephews. And so I knew that I was going to be like this. And for me it was so clear. I cannot be a mother. I cannot. It's like, not that I don't want to. I cannot do that. And so abortion was the only thing that came to my mind. But I went to a place, the most awful place in the world, feeling awful with this guy that I started recognizing that I was terrified by him. And that not only I was sexually abused by him, but sometimes the drugs, who took the drugs when we were on the streets? Me, because it was more chances that he was going to be asked for and touched than me. Or the guns. Take this gun for me. I was terrified. So he took me to a poor place. Is awful, was awful. And I was feeling ashamed. Not for the place, but for how can you be doing an abortion and not feeling bad? But I couldn't feel bad, Todd, because for me, I was going to be my mother. And you cannot do that to a child, right? But the shame was awful. So my sexuality started like that, almost. It was the second guy I was with, and it started like that. So it didn't get any better. And I, also, I've been pregnant 3 times, and every time, like, no, I cannot be a mother. Taking the pill, I don't know how it happened, right? But taking the pill, no matter how, it happened, and I cannot be a mother. I'm awful, and I spent my whole time thinking that I was awful. So anyhow, in France, because when I had the opportunity to leave Colombia, I thought, this is the opportunity. I will leave everything behind. But you never leave things behind. You take it with you. It changed people, but things doesn't change. And it didn't change. I came here and started having all these experiences, like in 2012, just 1 year after arriving in France. Then I drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking more and more and more and more and more. And at some point, because I claimed that I was raped, it was the government that sets you with a psychiatrist. And I was with a psychiatrist. I stopped eating. My weight was the weight of 8 years old, said a doctor to me. But my shrink gave me the pills for a man. So I was on pills for 1 year, like completely not knowing what was happening. I went 3 times to facilities because even with those pills, I couldn't sleep. So sometimes I just take more than the pills that I was supposed to take. And so they decided that was suicidal. And so 3 times I came for 3 days and just in little things, but I was in facilities. And one day I just say, okay, I will stop those pills. And I stopped like that, which wasn't great neither. But that was the experience. And
Here we go. She'll come back. Wow. I don't think she's gone anywhere, but she'll be back. Wow. It's pretty amazing. I take a breath there. It's 2 in a row. Jeez. Here she is. You're back.
We're back. So I spent 15 years with him, and I thought he was the guy. And it turns out that this guy was just wherever I had everywhere with me in my information. This guy was again on paper so great, but he was the kind of guy that was subtle, not violent, but subtle. And this was the kind of guy that used to say to me, if you don't like him, you can leave. But I know that he won't leave, right? If you don't like this way, whatever. But who is going to take you, right? And that was me. Nobody's going to love me. So this guy that was so perfect also had in 2009 he had a, a heart attack, and I spent from 2009 to 2013 I spent all my nights sleeping like not sleeping, because he could at any moment make a heart attack and died. So again, panic. So at some point at 2016, I was like, I cannot take it anymore. And that was the moment where, I start this story. And I was, yeah, suicidal. I was addicted to alcohol, and I occasionally taking drugs, but it was an addiction too, and smoking like 3 times too much. And the only thing that I could do, because I never believe in anything, was to go to the church and say, okay, I always knew something bigger was, but I never believed in the stories that Catholic Church told to me. But I always knew, even if I didn't feel it or didn't rely on, but I always knew something bigger was. And the only thing that I knew was to go to the church and say, okay, I want to be happy and I want to be free. And I cried for 30 minutes at least. And I started discovering myself. And it haven't been easy, because many times things pop like that. And I was like, this couldn't have been, it's not true, right? It didn't happen. I'm not aware of this, right? But now, after recalling all those moments, and now after having coming through them, I just, I'm not grateful for the pain. I'm grateful for the awareness that after the pain is. And I am grateful because today I'm here. Not only, it's not an act of bravery, but I'm here to share a little bit of what I came through, and so people can know that they are not crazy. that they are worth of love, and that they can go out and say to someone what is happening.
Mm.
And that I understand, and I don't blame parents for being violent with their kids. And believe me, I am beyond um, I am beyond that point when I said, "Oh, I forgive you," to my mother. Now I'm more like, "Oh my God, what you came through to be like that." I respect her pain, but I just wanted to, with sharing this, to, if a parent just know that it's not normal to beat a children like I was beaten, that this can be changed, that you're not only hurting someone, you are hurting yourself, and you're in pain to do that. And also that you can overcome shame and guilt, because you're always only doing the best you can do at that moment. Like the moments that I got abortion, I was doing and choosing the best that I thought it was right and the right thing to do. And so my story has so many stories, little and big stories. But this is pretty much it. Um, for the time, the excellent, beautiful time we have together. Um, and I am glad because I I believe that even me, I have never heard my story like telling everything, or well, there are more to it, but telling the big pictures of my story. And I'm glad that I did it with you, because you hold so much space and is so respectful.
Mm. Thank you. How did you how did you find your strength? How did you transform? Was there a specific way that you did it?
What do you mean by a specific way that
Like, was there like a process that you used, or a meditation, or was there
Okay,
something?
okay. So at first I started with psychologist, but it wasn't it, and I know things just start coming to me. Like at first I started with um, my family tree constellations, so it helped to understand things. Meditation, then energy activations, and I had so much time at home because I quit my job and I was at home, that I did every class, you know, everything. And it was out of desperation,
Mm.
but everything bring me something. I believe that everything that I did bring me something, either that I saw or didn't immediately. And I cannot say that something specifically helped me more, but what I'm sure today is that um, understanding and acknowledging that my brain wasn't working the way other people's brains was working, that my brain was a functioning on PTSD my whole life, and that my brain only allowed me to see things one way. That helped me lots. So a process of understanding that um, the brain, the body, and the mind, how they work together and how they worked for me. Now I have to recognize that I had so many people around me. Yes, because activations, because triggers,
Mhm.
because people telling their stories trigger me or allow me to remember things. But a specific process, I cannot say that I had a specific process to say to someone. I believe that the the most beautiful thing we can do for ourselves is to start being honest with ourselves. I feel this and I think this. And that's the first step for grace to come and put in your way whatever you need to do. Sometimes I woke up and still now, I woke up and I say, yes, today I am in resistance. Like for the show, I thought so many times, no, don't go and tell things, and nobody is going to listen to you. And what are you going to? And so I just say like this, okay, I I'm not in charge. Take it,
Mm.
right? But I also am honest and I say, I'm freaked out. Help me. Right? But to be
Mm.
honest with you, I feel that, I think that, I believe that. That's the best process you can start with.
Yeah, true. The brutal honesty of the soul.
And it is with you because it's only and always you.
Hmm.
Who are you going to be honest with if you don't start with you? Because even when you say to the universe or whatever you want to call it, help me, or yeah, today I am freaked out, or I'm this, or I am that, who are you talking to? You're primarily talking to you. So if you don't start being honest with you cannot put another step before the
Yeah.
other, right? That's the
Hmm.
first step.
Yeah. So so obviously you changed in these last 5 years. Has your life changed?
Yes, yes. I I am grateful. I'm not suicidal. That's that's a huge change, right? That's a huge change for starters.
Mm.
And I go out alone.
Mm.
I don't drink anymore.
Mm.
And it's not even and even when I stop drinking, I stop drinking saying I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah.
just repeating that again and again and again. Because the AA program,
Mm.
it didn't convince me because they always think that they are alcoholics
Hmm. Yeah.
and even one drink and they
Mm.
will get to it again. And
Mm.
I said, no, I cannot have something that will be behind me like my shadow for my whole life. So I don't drink and I don't care that people drink. I just, I'm not even that anymore. It's like alcohol. I don't have an aversion. I'm not saying to people stop drinking. People can drink uh, beside me in my home, whatever. Uh, I just don't feel like.
Yeah.
And even when I take a crepe and there is alcohol there, because in France they put alcohol in crepes in the mixture,
Oh yeah.
I feel that and my body is like, oh no. So I just over it. I don't smoke. I'm not addicted to pain anymore. And I am honest with me and with everybody. So that those are big changes for me. Big, big, big changes. Now there are many other things that I'm recognizing and that are coming through me, but that are not that clear yet. But I'm a big empathic person, big, big, big empathic person that can feel everyone. And that's also something that is coming into clarity, right? And how not to take, because I've been doing pains, empaths my whole life, and now I recognize that this is not the highest
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
To take that, to recognize it, to be of service, yes, but to take it is not of service.
Yeah. What she said. You.
What?
I said what she said. You know that saying when somebody says what she said. You. Meaning nothing. Meaning nothing else. I can't say anything to that. You know. You got your smile back. I bet.
Oh, I got a smile
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a real one
Yeah. Not a
because
fake. Not a fake one, right?
oh, I was so trained.
Yeah.
I was a professional liar.
We've all been doing that. We all did that.
Yes, 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 yes.
Wow.
So that for a change.
What a powerful transmission. That's more powerful than those things that we get from the ethers. True. That's what I
Yes,
believe. Yeah.
yes. It's and I tried many times to write like at the post that your wife do, or people like Christy that is here
Mm.
with us, because I was like, oh my god, this is so beautiful. I want to share like this. Well, I'm better at talking,
Mhm.
and maybe my way of of transmitting what I'm here to to transmit will be talking. I believe it will be more like this. And you know, when you're out of even forgiveness, because I have nothing anymore to forgive.
Yeah.
Not that I don't recognize and not that I didn't have to recognize that I have been a victim.
Hmm.
I had to recognize that to get over it. It was difficult,
Yeah.
but I'm more than that, and that gets you lots out of judgment.
Yeah.
And so you can tell me anything because what I told you is just the big lines,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There is few things I haven't done, I haven't seen.
Yeah.
So now it's just a smile at it.
Yeah. I
You're
can.
in a game.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I wouldn't change a thing.
And you cannot,
True.
but you cannot, but I don't believe we are here to change what happened, but there is not higher perspective without the lower
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
In the lower experience, I mean in your body, in your life, like in your reality. That allows you a higher perspective.
Yeah.
Just to read the higher perspective of others, sometimes it's escapism,
Yeah.
right? I don't
Yes.
believe you have to go through what I went, that I choose that. I don't believe that you have to go through pain
Hmm.
because underneath the pain, there is always aliveness and openness because your essence hadn't been assault, never.
Yeah.
But it's those experiences that allows us to have a higher perspective,
Yeah.
and that's the gift.
Yeah. I love that because it doesn't matter what you get and how connected you are. It doesn't matter unless you fully appreciate and own own your experience. And you're living proof. So we have a great
and
example. I appreciate you.
dissolve them
Yeah. Well, yeah.
because that too, I see many people just in the stage of I'm owning my story. No, you're still clinging to your story.
Yeah. There's a
Pay
difference.
full attention and be aware that mind and bodies and brains are up to automatization. So the more can be automatic, the better they are doing their jobs.
Yeah.
So if you cling too much to your story, you're not overcoming your story. You're
Yeah.
again and again and again your story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a fine line, isn't it? I mean, at some point you
Yes.
got to, because the story is the gold, but it's how you, what that story, what the effect the story has had on your life. I mean, it's a good point that you're making. A lot of good points. I really appreciate you. I got on with you, and you're all smiles and giggles and telling me Vera and Augusti send kisses, and please tell them the same. I had no idea that the hour speaking with you was going to be like this. You said that you see yourself probably talking more than writing. What do you see for yourself in the future?
I hope to be alive tomorrow.
True. That's
um,
true. Yes. I agree with that.
um,
Great answer. That's a great answer. I mean, that's a great answer. I mean, we spend so much time
I don't
out of our
know.
body, right? Out of our body, even if whether it's up there or in the future, or oh, I'm going to be with somebody that's going to, or I'm going to live here, or I'm going to have this job, or have this money, and really, the whole gift is just living. That's it, right?
Yes, yes, but out of that, which is true,
Mm,
um, I I know that I choose all those stories for a
mm,
reason,
yeah.
and I know that we are like uh, older brothers for those that are coming uh, behind,
Mm,
not teachers. Well, I don't see myself as a teacher, as a leader, as a guide, or just someone that have made the the school, and so
mm-hmm.
you need, right, if you're doing it, I can explain you what I did. And so it's like like when in high school I was so good at maths, and so I explained to some people how
Mm-hmm.
I saw things. I believe it's the same now,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Yeah.
haven't, the opportunity haven't presented itself of to me about what, how I will put all that to a contribution.
Yeah. Well,
But maybe it starts today.
I was going to say, well, well, I love what you said too, because those, because things have changed. I mean,
Yes.
things have changed very rapidly in the last year and a half, and there's a lot to be said for the statement that those who think they are teachers are not, and those who don't think they are actually are the teachers, right? I mean, that's not a, to me, that's more of an energetic, but like listening to you for an hour, it's not even, it's like way beyond the words. There's so much information or code coming out of you that I don't even know. It's aligning and it's healing, and I'm sure others feel the same way. So I really appreciate you coming, and I hope to sit down with you again and collaborate this year with you and see what's happening. And
Oh God, thank you. I will be glad.
mm,
And and Todd, mm, we didn't know each other,
mm,
and and but you really, to 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 do that the first time in my life, to
mm,
tell all the stories for the first time with you,
mm,
is priceless,
yeah,
because there is so much humbleness with your sharings. It's like, no, we are not pretending here to do something or to be someone, or,
mm, mm,
and that I loved.
mm,
I love so much. And
mm,
of course, I will be glad and grateful to come here again.
mm,
And I'll be glad and grateful if someone that heard or will be hearing this and is thinking that she or he is crazy,
mm,
or is thinking that what happened couldn't have happened, or is thinking about life doesn't worth or anything, and by seeing me, listen to my voice, think that I can be of a contribution, I will be so glad.
well, I think you achieved that today with quite a few people, including me. So I thank you, and I love you, and I appreciate your story. I'd love to talk longer. we've got another show in 15 minutes, and
No problem.
I,
Thank you
I
so much.
well, I hope, yeah, thank you. I mean, it's the pleasure's all mine. I mean, it's an honor to be in this space with you. So I
And you
hope
know,
to.
it was August for girls, so I put my special girls day.
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's appropriate for. So, vaya con Dios.
Gracias.
Hasta
Hasta pronto.
hasta luego, mi hermana hermosa.
Oh, gracias, Todd.
You take care, and we'll be back in 15 minutes with a new friend and another story. So grab your tissues.
Love
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you so much. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Catalina. Thank you, Catalina. Bye-bye.